Welcome everybody to tonight's meeting at Pine Bluff Town Hall, or Town Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody had a chance to look at everything?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that pass. Consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes. New business. Community master plan adoption. Miriam?
All right, does this thing work? Is it on?
Oh, it's just going to the...
Okay, cool. Good evening, my name is Melissa. Sorry, Miriam was,
Oh,
I'm not
sorry.
Miriam.
I apologize.
That's okay. She was gonna be here tonight, but she had something come up, so you get me. But I've been involved in the project since the beginning. It's really been quite a pleasure working with you all, so glad we're finally looking at adoption. I do have a quick presentation for you all. I promise it won't be too long, and then I'll take any questions that anyone has. I can hit the right buttons.
I don't know if it will work because you have to actually use laptop.
I can do that too.
Long cord, sorry.
We're adaptable. Tech savvy, maybe. Aha. Okay, what is a community master plan? So the community master plan is the primary planning policy document for the town. So what that means is that it's really a roadmap that combines the community's ideas and values to determine how we're going to grow over the next 20 to 30 years. It's a long-term vision and a guiding strategy, and it shapes decisions related to new development, redevelopment, programs, and services. So it's really the looking forward of, okay, where do we want to be in 20 years?
Can you turn that stand around so we can hear you? We can't hear.
Stand.
Can you still see the screen?
There you go.
Okay. So the process that we followed, we started the process in January of last year with foundation and visioning. That went through April. And then as phase 2, we did a senior living analysis with a sub-consultant that looked specifically at a feasibility of a senior living facility in town. That went through about May. And then now we are firmly in phase 3 with plan development. We've concluded the plan and the final development of the document at the end of last year, but with holidays and all of the fun things that come with the end of the year, we looked at pushing the adoption until now to make sure everyone had enough time to review the document. Over the course of the project, we started with the kickoff event and visioning survey at the very beginning of the process. We did an existing conditions analysis looking at kind of where the town is now on a couple of key topics, and that set the foundation for where we wanted to go and looked at key policies and development options. Then, as I said, we had the senior living feasibility analysis, which is not part of the comprehensive plan, but was part of the process for the comprehensive plan, so that's a separate memo and document that was presented to council, I believe in September of last year. The date escapes me. Then we went into goal and policy development. And then we did a capital improvements, costing and logistics task where we looked at specific action items that we had in the comprehensive plan, created some basic cost estimates for where those would be, and how much that would kind of cost to look at doing some of those improvements. And then finally, the draft plan. Over the course of the project, we did 2 separate public open houses with over 50 event attendees. We did an online questionnaire at the beginning, which garnered 90 responses, approximately. And then we did 2 high school student meetings. So we went to the high school and worked with the juniors and seniors to get their feedback on a lot of the same questions that we asked the public. And we met with about 48 students when we did that. We did have a steering committee, which we met with 5 times over the process, and then 2 town council workshops where we presented to you all on the process of the plan, or the process, and an update of where we are. The plan itself is structured into 5 chapters. So there's the introduction, which says most of what I just said, as well as the state statute for adopting a master plan. Chapter 2 is the context and trends, so that's the existing conditions, kind of a baseline analysis of where the town is infrastructure-wise, housing-wise, a lot of the elements that the state statute requires you to touch on. Chapter 3 is the meat and potatoes, so it is the policy framework. It is all your goals and policies and your true roadmap for where you want to go in the future. The future land use plan, which is the illustrative version of that. It looks at all of the land that is within the town of Pine Bluffs and looks at all the future land uses that could occur in those areas. It serves as your zoning map basis. It is not a zoning map and it is not regulatory, but it serves as the guide for that. And then chapter 5, last but not least, is implementation. So it is your action items, all of the, we know where we want to go, so how do we do that? So those are the 5 sections of the plan. So that state statute that I mentioned, each municipality has the authority to adopt and prepare a municipal master plan. And in Wyoming, it is authorized under state statute 151501 through 151512. And then the land use plan, which is also known as the Land Use Planning Act, it does require all counties and municipalities to develop a land use plan. And in addition, if a town or city decides to have a planning commission, you have to adopt a master plan. So in the future, if you want to have a planning commission to help look at planning and zoning specific issues, this master plan becomes kind of their guidebook for that. And then last but not least, development and the community must conform to the plan. So this, again, when I say that this is the guide for future development, that's really what it is. It shows you where you want to go as development comes in. This plan really helps you say, okay, does that fit what we wanted to do? Or is it maybe a little different? Why or why not do we want to look at that? So the plan itself. This is the vision statement from the plan, and it reads that Pine Bluffs is a welcoming community where families live and grow, businesses thrive, and opportunity is knocking at your door. So this was a vision statement that we revised from the North Wells master plan, I think was what it was called, that was developed quite a while ago. And what we heard from people was the statement was generally accurate, but needed a little bit of tweaking. So we kind of reworked that and brought this here, and this is what the vision is for the future. Some of the goals, and I won't read through each and every one of these, because I assume no one wants me to read each and every goal and policy within the plan. But the land use goals specifically look at encouraging infill development and redevelopment, coordinating future development with the provision of infrastructure and services, so making sure that when you're developing, you're creating that infrastructure either in tandem or before that development so you can service it. Reviewing ordinances, policies, procedures, and permits to ensure that the town is a strong, well-planned community. And last but not least, that guiding the location, intensity, and density with future land use map. For economic development, we really had 2 goals that rose to the top as what the community really wanted to see for the future. And it was increasing economic diversity, employment base, and the tax base to increase the quality of life. And then reinvesting in the downtown of Pine Bluffs to increase the social and economic vitality. So really looking at the downtown, increasing economic diversity, kind of diversifying where we're at now. And then housing, providing local and workforce housing, and then additional opportunities for housing choice. For recreation, natural resources, we looked at expanding and enhancing parks and open space, fostering health and safety by creating safe opportunities for physical activity, and then protecting the town's landscape natural resource and scenic landscape. So you've got these beautiful bluffs, looking at preserving those as a true community asset. Community character and services, cultivating a sense of place, and then again, preserving and celebrating the town's history and culture. These last two sections are always the really fun ones, transportation and then utilities and infrastructure. The transportation, providing more travel opportunities to enable mobility, maintaining safe, convenient, and efficient transportation network, and then developing a roadway maintenance plan. And then for utilities and infrastructure, really the goal that came to the forefront out of everything we heard from folks was maintaining and improving existing water, sewer, and power to handle future demands for new developments. So again, that infrastructure, services, and concurrency piece. Alrighty. Future land use map. So again, this is your map that guides the zoning. It is not zoning, it is not regulatory, but it gives you a general idea of the density and intensity of the uses throughout town. So you'll see a whole bunch of colors here. Generally, as you move from lighter color to darker color, you go up in intensity. So we've got the airport as its airport color as a light purple. Recreation at parks and open spaces, this darker green color, so the bluffs, this area which is in the floodplain up here. Agriculture and industrial, which is a general kind of larger category that includes agricultural uses, some light industrial uses, kind of maintaining the status quo of what's really out there right now. And that's this portion of your area just north of the railroad. Low density residential, which is kind of this density out here, so out on the eastern side, right along the town border and the Nebraska border. Medium density residential, which is single family backyard cottages, a little bit higher density than what you see out here along the bluffs and the steep slopes, but generally, 3 units per acre or so. And then we've got this area in here, which is denoted residential transition, which is about 3 to 12 units per acre, so a little bit denser, but providing that buffer between the agriculture and the low density and more of the commercial mixed use. So we've got some commercial mixed use in here, and then up here in the new North Wells area. When mixed use is vertical and horizontal, so you could have residential and commercial on the ground floor, or you could have commercial on the ground floor, residential on the top floor, really site dependent of what you kind of want to do. We left that one pretty open for you all to kind of do what you need to do with that one. Public and quasi-public notes all of the public spaces within town, so fields, the town hall, and some of the general other kind of public or quasi-public spaces where you go to kind of recreate or community service type locations. I think I hit all of them. Oh, and then there's the commercial area over here, which is your traditional commercial area, and then downtown, which is slightly higher density commercial, but generally about the same uses. I'm not going to go through these because I just went through them. And then the last chapter, as I said, is the plan implementation. So it's broken down into 3 categories. There's regulations and standards, which are generally future updates to the zoning code that allow that to be more consistent with the comprehensive plan and implement the plan. There's new studies, plans, and programs, which are generally things that you would want to look more deeply at. So we didn't go super deep into roads and parks. We touched on them, but there's additional recommendations for some additional studies that can be done for a park-specific master plan or a major street plan where you'd look at each of those pieces more in depth. And then capital improvement projects, which are physical projects that the town can undertake in order to implement the master plan. Some of the regulations and standards that we highlighted are developing downtown standards for redevelopment and infill. We heard that was a big goal. So an action item is to actually go out and develop those standards and implement those, adopt those into the zoning code. Establishing a planning commission to look specifically at planning related items. Dark sky compliant lighting requirements, since folks said that that was a really important piece of the town character, is the dark skies and the scenic resources. Updating GIS data for water, sewer, and electric. Creating GIS data for road services and adding that to the GIS network. And then a town development code to unify all future utility work, so looking specifically at infrastructure standards, water and sewer standards. For new plans and programs, as I said, a master street map that looks specifically at transportation infrastructure, where new roads can go, what sort of road improvements need to be undertaken, and what some of those funding options could be for those. Hand in hand with that is the infrastructure master plan, which is similar, but a little bit different, looks specifically at infrastructure, not just at roads. Parks and Rec master plan, and then a historic resources analysis. And then for capital improvements, incorporating fiber optic expansion and other utility improvements that increase coverage and keep costs down. Something we're seeing kind of all over the country is that increase of internet connectivity, especially as folks continue to kind of work from home and try to work from really beautiful places. So that's something we heard kind of throughout the process. And then implementing the outstanding projects from the 2018 utility master plan. So that was what I had. Are there any specific questions on the plan or any of the content of the plan?
The only question I have is you have on there that it's suggested to have an economic development plan. What would that look like?
So they look a little bit different for each community, but what you would do is you would hire you do kind of a similar process to what you did to get for us for this master plan. You'd put an RFP for a consultant looking specifically at economic development. So in this case, it would be looking at revitalization strategies, what sort of funding is out there to bring new businesses in or help new businesses that are existing expand. You look at where your markets are, so what sort of businesses you do have in town or where you might have gaps or what sort of services the town does and doesn't have. So it's kind of a broader look at the economics and what exists in town and where you can go and how to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're kind of fun.
Sounds kind of interesting.
Any other questions?
That map that you showed there is gonna have a lot of concrete. How's that gonna fit into the surrounding areas?
So the map is just a guide. It doesn't have specific site development or standards like that. That's where the zoning code comes into place. So the map itself just provides a general direction of how many dwellings you want to have in that area and what sort of uses are generally allowed, but it doesn't get into any specifics.
Okay, and I know you said you guys gotta still look at the roads, but are you planning on connecting the roads over there to, sorry, Beach Avenue? I've got a headache, sorry.
That's okay.
No, we have a whole development plan that is separate from this that we're working on for that north property. So yes, everything is gonna end up connecting. And the railroad crossing is being relocated this spring to Butler.
To Butler, not Beach, Butler?
Correct, Butler.
Okay.
Yep.
And how about the sewer,
What about
the
the
sewer
sewer?
problem? Do we have enough water and for the infrastructure to?
Yes.
Who's gonna pay for that? The taxpayers?
So, no. So currently, let's go to the water. We just finished, well number 10, which is a new deep well. And we have plenty, our water supply is fantastic for the community. So water is not a concern. As far as sewer, I don't know that we really have any issues with our sewer.
They'll have. That's a lot of homes.
Oh, so, yes, I see what you're saying. So we don't have any issues with our sewer. We did a study of our lagoons, back in 2019, Wyoming Rural Water came out. We are able to sustain growth over the course of the next.
That much?
When you look at that north property, you know, while we're looking at 300 acres, not all of that is gonna be homes.
Okay.
Right, so, you know, the first phase that we're looking at developing out there has maybe, I don't know, maybe 40 homes. And after those 40 homes, if we're done, then we're done. There would be no
So
more.
you don't think the taxes will go up because of all this?
Well,
You
the
know,
taxes
most
on
others
that
don't.
property will be different because those are gonna be on the outside lots, will be much larger lots. So like 2-3 acre lots there.
Well, are you looking at
So-
annexation?
We already own that land.
Okay, okay.
Yep, we've
So
owned
it
it since
wouldn't be
2014.
Curb and gutter, $39 a foot, roads.
All that will be
$39.
handled by the people that will be purchasing lots out
Okay.
there.
Okay, but not the ones, okay.
Yep, so it won't affect your.
Okay, I'm all for growth, I just don't
Yeah.
want it on top of me.
Right, so generally, you know, in other areas, you know, you would have a developer that would come in and purchase the land and all that, and they get their money back when they sell those lots.
Yeah.
So as
Well, I
we
knew
sell
theirs
those.
was okay,
right.
but I didn't want mine
No,
going out.
yeah, no, so as people purchase those lots, that funding will go back into. And initially out there, those roads will all be gravel roads, they will not be paved roads, at least not right away. And as far as tying in the new railroad crossing, that's a partnered project between the town, the UP Railroad, and YDOT. So as YDOT
So the
relooks.
town bill won't go up?
No, that will not affect your.
Is-
However, I mean, I know that you have probably all noticed that our town utilities have been increasing over
We've
the last
noticed,
few years.
tripled.
So, and right now we are evaluating our sewer rates. But I think the one thing that I can stand firm on is that, our rates are still some of the lowest in the area and in the state. And that
Yeah, that's
if
why
you
I
can
moved
keep
here.
in mind, so for instance, on our sewer rates and our water rates, neither one of those had been changed since 2014. In fact, our sewer rates hadn't changed since 2014, and for one portion of it, the base. And for the price per 1,000 gallons, that has been the same since 1985.
Wow.
So, you know, and we're not looking at drastic changes, but it feels drastic because we haven't done it on a regular recurring basis every few years. You know, so when you're looking at almost a 10-year gap, there have been significant cost increases over those 10 years to maintain that infrastructure. Everything from the fuel that goes into those vehicles to the chemical that we have to use to treat the water. And especially in this last year, it's been kind of crazy. The other thing you may not realize is that the state of Wyoming really looks at when and how we have made our utilities self-sustaining, because they have to be. They're each their own enterprise account, so it's like we have our own separate water company and our own separate electric company, but
That'll mean police force bigger.
yeah. But they are not part of the general fund, so we can't mix that with the police department and recreation, and the airport's separate, which means whatever money comes into the water department has got to support the water department. It doesn't go toward the airport, it doesn't go to the police department, it doesn't go to recreation or administration. And so when we apply for grants or loans through the state, one of the things that we have got to show is, you know, that we've been paying attention to our rates and that our rates make sense for what we're doing. So, in fact, when it comes to our tax dollars that go into our general fund, actually the opposite is true. If I go in the red in my water department, I have to then ask for a resolution, and the governing body has got to allow us to balance that enterprise account, and we take that money from our general fund, which takes it away from recreation and the police department and things like that. So that's why it's very important that those separate enterprises can really support themselves, pay for any debt that they have incurred, and be able to improve our infrastructure.
How long are you guys looking at building them houses out there?
Like when will we start?
Yeah, because that's concerning considering we really don't have a police force.
So, well, a couple of different things. One thing to keep in mind is, you know, first we've got to engineer and design everything out there, which we're in the process of doing right now. I don't anticipate we'll see anything going in out there until maybe next fall sometime, and that won't be the houses. That will be us starting to put in a lift station and water lines and roads, just to get out to where they will break ground for the houses. By then, I assure you, our police department will be back in full force. But in the meantime, keep in mind that the Laramie County Sheriff's Office is still responsible for this area, and they know that when we need backup support, they're gonna be here. So, they still have folks coming out to eastern Laramie County, and whenever we need them to assist on a call or to cover a call that we can't make it to, they have already responded. So, we're very fortunate that one of the undersheriff happens to live in town, so when we need some backup, he's usually pretty Johnny on the spot, so, yeah.
That's the most time we've seen a sheriff out here in the last 2 years is when Chance became an undersheriff.
Sure, and you're gonna continue to see more and more of the sheriff's department out there. I think that's one thing that, Sheriff Kozak and, has kind of stated very publicly that he would make sure that eastern Laramie County in general started to get the presence that
That it
was
required, that it
needed.
should have,
That
and
it-
haven't been getting.
Yep.
Okay, one more going back to the water.
Yes,
Being that I have been fighting water for the last 2.5 years, and it has not gotten any better, I kind of disagree with our water system is adequate. It's not.
okay. What have you been fighting?
Trying to get enough water pressure to do anything.
And you'll have to tell what street do you live on?
I live on the top of 8th and Main, White House, black trim.
Oh, okay. I know where you live.
I just put in a yard, and I have for 2 years tried to fight to get an irrigation system in so I could water it. The only way I finally did it is I installed a pump onto the city water system so I could get the water I needed because we have no water pressure.
Right. So at your particular property, you really shouldn't have any. The curb pressure here in Pine is extremely high. We have great pressure. So if you have an individual issue at your home, then I'll be happy to
Then
ask
we
some
need to get
questions.
somebody out
and-
there to find out what's wrong. Considering that I have a 8-inch high pressure main in my backyard
Right.
that I'm not tied to. I'm from the old line that comes down off the hill and that alleyway.
Yeah.
And when I turn on my sprinkler system, I have 15 pounds of water pressure.
Okay. Well,
We
let's
can't
check
even
into
take a
that.
shower. And I
Yeah.
have brought it up several times. I'm one of the ones that said, no, we gotta have infrastructure
Sure.
adequate. And there's a lot of people that, in that area by me, that don't have water pressure.
In general up there on 8th
Yes,
Street?
in general,
okay.
up there in that upper end of
Well, let's
town.
look into that and see what's going on out there. I can tell you for that water main line that goes through your yard. So, I actually was just talking to the engineer about that the other day. We have, it listed on our intended use plan, so that's something that we have to have listed with the state engineer's office. So again, in order for us to get funding for certain
Right.
projects, we list, kind of our wish list to the state engineer's
Can we
office for
actually
water
get
and
somebody
sewer.
out there and come in and actually tell us exactly where it's at? Other than the fact that I just about tore it out.
Yeah, well, thanks for not doing that.
Well, and I was originally told it was a scrap pipe, take it out of the ground. And I almost did, but being an ex-pipeliner, I went, no.
Yeah.
And it's a charged 8-inch high-pressure line, so I really don't want my garage sitting in Main Street.
Yeah.
So, there's something, it needs to be, that stuff needs to go. Sewer system, I'm not sure about, but the water system,
Yeah.
it needs some work. And I admit, I'm one of the first ones that pulls water off the top of the hill, and anybody down below me pulls water, I don't have pressure.
So, yeah.
Excuse me, we'll take care of it, Kim.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not the time to,
No, yeah,
Get
but we'll
into it.
Yeah, it's,
definitely.
you know,
Yeah.
but it's.
but we will
this
take
is-
care of it.
Yep.
This is, this is what I'm saying
Okay.
is more than just me.
Yeah.
I just wanna, for everybody in town in this upper.
Anybody else
go
got
at it.
anything?
I
Come on.
got just a quick question.
We'll get back with you this week.
Yep, just, can it wait, is it pertaining to this,
Yeah,
or is it to
just
something
real
else?
quick, just out of curiosity, I know at one point the town used to own the property north of the RV park on Ballard. Does the town still own that? Can it be developed?
We do not. That piece of property is owned by Helena. It used to be Centennial Ag, but now it's, Helena has purchased that, well, a few years ago, right?
Yeah,
I was just curious,
Yeah.
because it's a huge chunk of property down there.
It is, yes.
The town owned that at one time, right?
no,
No, Gene Lanning owned it at one time.
Yes.
He sold it,
Yeah, I knew Gene owned it.
and he sold it to Helena.
Okay. Sorry,
All right.
I'm not trying to interrupt, I'm just curious.
anything else for the community master
It's,
plan?
it just seems like 12 houses per acre seemed like pretty impacted. Will they be like cracker boxes?
So it's about the density that you have in town. So if we go back, I'll go back to the map here.
City lots is what they're at.
So all of this development in here, that's kind of a yellowish color and an orange color, that's about 12 dwelling units per acre. So what we're looking at out in this area here, right there, and then some of this in here, is really just infilling to match the current development pattern in town. So 12 seems like a lot, but that's about town-sized lots. Because an acre's, it's a weird measurement to kind of think about if you're not used to measuring that way. But it's about what we have on the ground. So when you look left and right, look about the same.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Melissa.
Alex, for this adoption, do there need to be a motion and made in order for it to be, for the official?
To adopt.
Yeah, for the adoption.
Let me check one thing here.
Okay.
Okay, so it was posted on the agenda as an adoption. And so a motion to adopt that plan would be in order.
Okay. I move to adopt the community master plan developed by Logan Simpson.
Second.
Excuse me, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the community master plan that has been done by Logan Simpson. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes. Adopted. All right, visitor comments. Any more visitor comments? Yes, ma'am.
I have one. Amy Votruba with the Texas Trail Museum.
Excuse me, ma'am, could you come to the podium, please?
Sorry. Amy Votruba with the Texas Trail Museum. And it was my understanding that there was an arrangement made sometime last year that we were supposed to be getting stipends from the town of Pine Bluffs. And so far, we've only received 2 of them. And this was to help cover, because you guys are no longer paying the utilities.
I can answer that question.
Please do.
So when I was, yes. When Amy Zedek was on
Yes.
acting as the treasurer in between times,
Yes.
and Scott was still the president.
It's possible, yes.
Anyway, you have to submit a voucher every quarter that you guys sign to request that payment.
Okay.
And so I prepared those vouchers for a year and gave them electronically so that you guys just needed to sign them and turn them all in. And then you can sign a whole year's worth at once and turn them in, and I'll hold them till each quarter. But you have got to submit for payment.
Okay, and
It's just like the senior center has to do the same.
and where did you send these?
I sent them, that first of all, they should have been on that flash drive that you all received, but if they were not on that flash drive of turnover documents, then I would have emailed them out. But I am happy to reprint them out because now we're probably starting another new year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So whenever you want to get your quarterly stipend, you just sign the voucher saying, you know, here you go. You could give us an invoice if you wanted to, but I just created the vouchers to make it easy for you guys so that you wouldn't have to create anything on your own, so.
Okay, so this wasn't something that the council had decided on, or?
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
But every time we write a check, it has got to be presented to the council at a meeting.
Okay.
and they approve us to write the check, so that's part of the consent
Okay,
agenda.
okay, so, all right, so we were wondering if we could possibly figure out where the minutes were that it was approved for this.
So, again, every quarter,
Okay, so each check has to be agreed,
each check
okay,
has to be
okay,
approved
Okay,
at the meeting
okay.
in which we are gonna pay it. So,
okay,
like if you were getting a payment for January, February, March quarter,
right,
we would have approved that payment
okay,
at the January meeting.
okay, all
Yep.
right. Could you possibly resend those
I
to
absolutely
the
can.
Texas Trail Museum?
Sure, to Mary's email?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that would be wonderful.
Yes, I will
Yes.
send those out tomorrow.
This is where we were confused. We didn't understand anything that had happened
Sure.
or had transpired.
Yep.
So that's what I wanted to come and ask for.
Yeah.
Okay,
And so, and our fiscal year starts July 1st. So
Okay.
in July, what I'll probably do is send you all of the next fiscal year. So I'll send
Okay.
you 4 of them, and I'll just say sign off, and I'll just hold them in my file for
Okay.
each quarter. So that-
okay,
So,
Okay,
as
perfect.
member of the board also with the Texas Trail Museum, what about catching back up on for
the quarters that we
Yeah, yeah,
missed
I'll just-
because we
yeah.
didn't,
Okay.
we didn't
Yes, it's
understand
no
that that
Find
was
out about
the
that too,
issue.
because of the bills.
Yeah, it's no
Okay.
problem. So, I will get those to you tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
And if you can get them to me before the 22nd, we
Okay.
do have another meeting on the 22nd that I can get that check approved for
Okay,
payment.
perfect. All right,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, department reports. Start with, nothing to my right, nothing. I don't have anything either.
Nothing new for me.
Landfill's doing great, everything's fine. Nope, everything's
Alex?
I'm good.
Well, that was quick and easy. Jackie?
I'm good. The LEAP is finally paying, so if you have a LEAP, if you put in an application, please verify with me that you are on the list and you are receiving payments, because there are a few people that have contacted me that we are still missing. So it's important to confirm that you are on the list and that you are officially receiving payments, but they are getting us caught up. And with this month's bills, everybody should be back. So people might start seeing credits on their bill because they're gonna see credits for their, it would have been November bills, their December bills, and now they're January. So it's gonna look a little different. And then keep in mind that just because you were approved for water and sewer does not necessarily mean that you get electric. Some people qualified for electric if your primary vendor is us. However, if your primary vendor is Black Hills, you do not qualify for electricity, but you may for water and sewer. So just verify which amounts you were approved for, and that you are on the list.
Thank you.
Okay. Kim?
So the SCADA project is moving along well. Our water operators took a trip to ITC today to do beta testing on all of the components to be sure that everything is working as we anticipate it will before they come and actually do the install at all of our locations. The lift station project for the north property is to the point where we can send plans to DEQ for their review. Once we get those plans back, then we can release an RFP. However, I think we'll be holding off on releasing that until we are ready to have all the water system approved, and so that they can the RFP can be released at the same time.
Sure.
We have continued we continued the testing on wells 3 and old well number something 2, old well number 2 from out north. And we're going to go ahead and bring well 2 online as another shallow well. to keep mixing for our nitrates. And then we are also going to bring well number 3 online, but it will not be used for municipal water supply, so it won't be tied in with our water system. That well will just be used for construction purposes and eventually just irrigation purposes for any future parks or anything that we have out north. And I think that's about it for our projects. We do have a meeting with the Air Force regarding their cable line, and that is on Wednesday, the 15th. So I'll have more information on that Air Force cable line.
Cool. Meetings and announcements?
Well, we're going to shoot to have a meeting February 22nd. I'm assuming that's going to be an early meeting since it is a Wednesday meeting. How early, I guess, is
Well, we've started them at what, 5?
5? Or was it
4:30?
4:30?
I think we went from 4 to 4:30 to 5. It is Ash Wednesday, so
Yeah.
that is to be kept in mind as we plan that.
Okay.
As I imagine mass is at 6, but I don't know that for sure.
So what time's the meeting?
What time can you all be here?
I can be here at 2 o'clock.
I can do 4:30, but 5's easier. But yeah, either time,
Anytime.
after 4.
Me too. Whatever,
right.
whatever works for everyone's schedule, I can make work. So if,
And you can zoom in?
Or phone or something.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you want to do 4:30 because it's.
Yeah, I think we should,
Yeah, if
we'll
we
shoot
could
for
do
4:30. on
earlier,
that.
that's probably best.
So 4:30.
And it will be considered a special meeting, but we may tie in it'll probably be brief, but we may tie in a committee of the whole meeting with that. We'll keep you posted.
Okay, another announcement. So the filing period for the 2 seats that will be coming available for the town council will be from March 2nd until, March 8th to the 28th. It's 20 days. The paperwork is available on our website. You can print it off, or you can stop in town hall and pick it up. And you can file that between the 8th and the 28th. Also, go ahead.
Can we post that on Facebook, either recreation or the town hall one?
Yeah,
You didn't
I
already?
will when
Okay.
it, yeah.
Gets
Af-
closer.
After, next week's agenda, it will go on just so that it kind of stays there for a while, but
Perfect.
I will put it there.
I just remember the last time we had that, there were a few people who told me, I didn't even know we had an election. And
Yes.
Well,
Yep.
it was
No.
out, we did, but.
I will get that done. Also, we have had numerous calls about chickens. Can we have them? How many? And we've noticed many people have started to get chickens. There are regulations regarding your chickens. You cannot have them in your front yard. There are certain requirements as far as your coop size, the coop location, and all of those are available on the animal ordinance, which is listed on our website, and you can click on that and you can read through it. But you definitely need to take note of the requirements. It is not just, you can buy your 6 chickens and have them and let them, their wings need to be clipped. There's permissions you need to have from your adjacent landowners. So keep all of that in mind. There's going to be a Facebook post about it tomorrow, so you can get more information, and the ordinance is online. So please keep that in mind so that we can not have to make a phone call to you, please. That's all I got.
All right. Anything else to come before us tonight? There a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Jackie?
No, I'm going to talk to him privately. Yeah, no.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.